Kathy was a school teacher for over 13 years before deciding to get into law. She then built her own practice and has recently moved and merged into a larger practice in the Arizona area. She has a great story, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. My name is Tyler Dolph. I'm the CEO of our digital marketing agency called Rocket Clicks that works exclusively with family law firms across the country. We also own and operate our own family law firm called Sterling Lawyers that has grown to over 30 attorneys and 25 offices across 2 different states. And we have this podcast, which we love and adore you for listening to. Today, we continue our law firm owner and partner interview series. Kathy has a really great story to tell, from being an educator to being a solo practitioner to then merging and joining another firm and becoming a partner there. Kathy, thank you so much for your time today. I'm so excited to hear your story. Would you mind introducing yourself to us and giving us a little background on kind of how you came to be here?
Okay. So my name is Kathy Stillman, and I am a partner at Smith and Gadow, which is exclusively a boutique family law practice in Phoenix, Arizona. So my first profession was in elementary and special education, and I was a teacher for over 13 years and had some really great experiences being a teacher, really enjoyed it. Along the way, I decided that I did not want to be a principal, which is kind of the next level, right? When you're as an educator, you could be a principal. And so I ended up deciding to go to law school. I had a grandparent that had passed away, and my initial thoughts were that I would maybe go into estate planning. That kind of sparked that. And there are just many ways, the law provides for a lot of different options and opportunities. And so I went to law school. I thought it was fascinating. And I did start off as working in the area of estate planning. I was living out of state. I went to law school at the University of Wyoming and practiced in Wyoming in estate planning there for a while. But then I moved back to Arizona, where I had gone to undergrad. And that was almost 20 years ago. And I had children. I kind of went back to teaching and did some teaching and that sort of thing while my children were young, which was a great profession while my kids were young. And then I went through a divorce myself. And through that process, I decided I wanted to get back into the legal field. And so I sat for the bar in Arizona and opened my own firm, actually at the time. Which is never easy. I wore every hat. I was my paralegal, my intake, billing, and I actually had a case with one of the partners at the firm, and through that just was met with exceptional service. Every person I engaged with at the firm at the time, it was from Smith and Gadow, and every person I interacted with was professional. Every pleading, everything that came out of the office was done right. And as a sole practitioner, I engaged with a lot of different practitioners and did some family law. But it was through that case that I got to know Jenny Gadow. And I ended up doing some contract work for the firm. And a few months later, I decided to join the firm and close my practice because I wanted to be a part of that. Of that culture, just knowing that people are looking to do everything. They were a firm that people referred to, both Jennifer Gadow and Steve Smith, who are my other 2 partners, have an exceptional background history. The firm had been in place for years, over 30 years, and they were tremendous mentors to me. They were just very giving in wanting to share, help people become better practitioners. And everything that the firm does is only family law. We stay in that lane. That's what we do. We want to help people through that process, and I wanted to become a part of that. And that was 9.5 years ago. And through their mentorship, I have become a certified specialist. All three of us are certified specialists through the State Bar of Arizona in the area of family law, and we are all three of us are also fellows with the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, which is a national organization that really provides a lot in the same area, and said a lot to me with regard to Steve and Jenny, because it is about mentorship. It's about building a community of practitioners that work together to become better, to have that mentorship across the board so that there's good representation for people out there. And they've really strived to do that. And much of the practitioner that I've become today is thanks to their mentorship and the high standards that they hold for their own work, and in the courtroom and in the community. So I've
It's
been
really
very
special.
fortunate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. We love the AAML community. We actually do a lot of work with them as well. I think your story is fascinating. One, that you spent so much time as a teacher and then have been able to navigate that pretty dramatic career change, and do so very successfully. The We talk to a lot of attorneys who start their own firm, and realize that you can't really be an attorney if you're a solo practitioner, because you also have to be an entrepreneur and you have to pay the bills and, like you said, do intake and all the things. What was the experience like, having to go through that, learn all of those things, and then be able to come into an environment at your current firm, to really thrive? Was it like your weight lifted off your shoulders because you could then go back to doing what you do best, or do you miss any of the admin stuff from your own firm?
I wouldn't say I miss it. And now that I'm a partner, like I said, I became a partner almost a year ago in July
Congratulations.
of 2024. And we did change the firm name from Smith Gadow to Stillman Smith Gadow. The partner, Sandra Fromm, had retired just before I actually started working for the firm so many years ago. It's hard to be a practitioner. And when you're a sole practitioner, you sometimes take on more of a general base of clientele, different types of law, and you don't get to be as specialized in a particular area. Sometimes it takes quite a bit of time. So definitely when I made that transition, I enjoyed that I was able to focus on building my skills, building my practice as a family law practitioner, because you do spend an exorbitant amount of time with the admin side of things, and it makes it hard for you to do your work, the things that you've been trained to do. As a partner, I've circled back into doing, having more administrative responsibilities, but I do enjoy it. But being just part of such a great organization, it really made it worthwhile, because I knew that I was working for and with just top quality people. And like I said, really the mentorship was such a big part of building and growing my practice, and very appreciative of that.
Yeah, it could be pretty lonely, being a solo practitioner and not having anyone to lean on, and now having a team is pretty awesome. How would you, help, maybe the people below you as they're trying to become partners in their firm? Was that always the kind of the promise when you came over, or did you have to hit certain milestones? Like, what allowed you to become successful and become a partner in the firm?
Well, I think some of it was just my personal, drive. I'm very competitive. I was an athlete in college, and I want to be one of the best. I want people to think that, and to have those skills. And like I said, for me, and part of being part of the AAML, part of the family law community, it's really important to me to try and be involved in different types of programming that help build those skills and open up, you know, to where someone can call you, feel comfortable to call you on the phone and say, I have this problem or I have this issue. And that's how you learn. And as many divorces as anyone has seen, there's just always something different about every single divorce or child custody, or any type of those situations. They're so difficult, and no two situations are the same. And having a large community of trusted professionals that you can reach out to and talk with about things that are coming up, brainstorming, how can we be creative in helping these people get through probably one of the most difficult times in their lives. it's hard. And sometimes we get into, or what experiences have we had with judges, and trying to help continue to build that community so that people don't feel afraid to pick up the phone and say, oh, what do you think about this? What about that? And that's, we have 6 attorneys total in our office. Besides for the 3 of us that are partners, we have 3 associates. And that is really important to us, is we meet regularly to talk about cases, we have that open door so that if there are questions about cases that people have, again, that's how we all learn. And someone else may have seen it. Someone else may have experienced it, and we get a chance to help build that.
It's awesome to hear about the collaborative nature of your firm and the opportunity to leverage the other staff members on cases. We've heard of a lot of firms that are very siloed and don't have that same approach. Do you believe that is a curated approach that the founders instilled into the culture of the company? And is that something that you guys really kind of focus on as an organization?
Absolutely. It's one of the key things, and one of the things we really try and instill is make sure that, we're all just right down the hall from each other. And as much as, COVID and some things have maybe broadened the whole virtual element of the practice of law, we still feel like it's very important to see each other and have that in-person interaction, to where, like just this morning, I had, one of the other associates came in and said, what do you think about this? And we're all just trying, like I said, it's really important of having those people to mentor. And as we have new, staff, we have a lot of training for not just our attorneys, but for our staff, in making sure that we are working through the process and oversight to give suggestions and feedback. And I would like to think that they feel very comfortable coming to us and not feeling like it's a big deal, but more the norm for people to come in and say, what do you think about this? Or can you look over, what I have here? Or that feedback is, and I know it was invaluable to me as my practice is growing. I continue, we go to each other all the time. We have monthly meetings in addition to just that open door policy of let's talk about this and see if we can come up with something.
Have you felt the benefit of that as you are mentoring kind of the next your associates or the next round of partners?
Yeah. I mean, I've really gotten good feedback. I think that I also like doing that because my background is teaching. So I really feel like my teaching background lends itself to this practice, not only my interaction with parents and dealing with children, which comes up, in quite a lot of the cases. So I feel like I have that advantage, but just my nature is that I want to teach, try and break things down, and, make things more, simplified. That was what part of my job. I was a special education teacher for a large percentage of that time that I was teaching. And part of that role was learning how to simplify, how to break things down, how to explain it. The divorce seems like it should be, I use divorce, even though we do a lot of things. We do premarital agreements and appeals, and, our practice is broader than that. But your families that are going through such a difficult time, there's so much information on the internet, and that can be dangerous, right? It's kind of like looking at an MD and diagnosing yourself. And because of that, that's one of the things that's important to us, is being certified specialists and working towards that, to make sure that we are on top of all the case law and we're doing all of those things, because those nuances are the sorts of things that set you aside and set you apart from other areas, and that because that's all we do. And I'm looking to help simplify that process for clients, to help walk them through it, because it isn't quite as straightforward as we all feel it, right? Oh, I've got 10 friends that got divorced, or I have, whatever. Everybody knows somebody, most likely, that's gone through the process, and it just isn't the same for everybody. And we really pride ourselves on telling people what they need to hear, maybe not what they want to hear. And that can be difficult, but we want to help people through the process, get them to the other side, to where the new normal is, and help them through some of that difficult stuff.
That's part of the deal. Being we always say like divorce, working divorce cases is working with amazing people on kind of their worst day or the worst time period of their life, and so you have to have a lot of compassion and be able to listen and understand what's happening.
And we want to see them bloom, right? To blossom. It's like you said, when they come in, often it's at their lowest, and it's not an easy process, and it's not a short, fast process either. And that can take a toll. And we try and help, provide them with a good team, give them, information. And sometimes the scariest part is the unknown. And to the extent that we can help relieve that, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's, likely to happen. Here is your best and worst case. It's not a win-lose situation. It's, when families are breaking up, it's never easy. And it really is about just finding the best way to navigate, help them understand what's going to happen so that it's not as scary. It's still going to be scary. There are still going to be difficult times, but we're looking to advocate and get them through that.
That's so great. When I was thinking about the fact you had your own firm and you came into another firm, were there like different ways that you needed to change how you had your divorce process or the conversations you were having with clients? Like, did your current firm provide that foundation and process of how they do their divorce cases? And we're going to do this, then we're going to do that, and maybe that was different than how you did in the past. How was that kind of transition?
Well, I think everything starts with the initial consultation with clients when they come in, right? It's probably one of the scariest days. They never thought they'd be there. They've probably been told, like I said, they've been bombarded by numerous people telling them what they should do. They don't know what to think. And part of our process here, we usually have more than one attorney in consultations. We don't have an intake person that they'll never see again. They come in, they meet with us, and through those consultations, that was a large part of my learning process, was the format and kind of the way that both Jenny and Steve, gather information. Like I said, they're that staple there, and they both have very different styles. They're both amazing attorneys, but I learned from both of them, and I'd say my style probably reflects a little bit of each of them, because as you sit in those consultations, it's just not an hour. We're going to shove you out the door. We sit there and take the time that it takes to answer questions and to take them through the process, to gather information about their specific case, because all of those details are very important. And our advice to anyone is only as good as the information we get. So if we don't take the time to get that information and walk them through those steps, then we likely aren't giving them necessarily great advice, because we haven't put in the time to really. We have to dig a little bit sometimes. People tell you what they perceive to be the most important thing, and you may realize it's actually something else that's there, but you have to take the time. And that was definitely something, their style and their consultation style, I think, I've learned a lot over the years, but we still do that. It still is usually 2 to 3 attorneys, and their meeting, we all have different perspectives, and we all talk about different parts of the divorce process. And, sometimes we have different ideas of, well, we actually think it might be this. And the potential clients get to know us. And I think that is really important in finding a good fit. It's important for clients to find someone that they feel comfortable with, because they're going to be exposing themselves and some of their most personal information to someone that's a complete stranger that they're paying money to. That's not easy. And we don't expect that, but we want them to get to know us so that they know that we're right for them.
I love it. Kathy, as we kind of finish up here, if there's someone listening to this who's a solo practitioner who's thinking about joining a larger firm, what advice can you give them as they're kind of making that consideration?
I think it's to get to know them, right? To find out, again, if they're a good fit for the model of the firm and what they have to offer, what they can offer to the firm, what benefits they're going to bring to the firm, what the firm can do for them, and how they can use those things together. There's certainly exposure. There are lots of opportunities through the local bar associations, to get, I think it's important to have connections, whether you're still staying as a solo practitioner, but have connections just with other practitioners that are out there and experienced, I think that can play a big role in success and trajectory.
I love it. I totally agree. Like I mentioned, I'm really appreciative of your time. I appreciate your story and your insights. We will look forward to continue following your journey. And again, really, really appreciate it.